It was just past midnight in a quiet Texas town. A man of God knelt beside his wife's lifeless body. Tearfully, he called 911. He told them, she was gone. Suicide, he said. A bottle of pills nearby. A note left behind. The community mourned. They buried her. They prayed. And they believed him. After all, he wasn't just a husband. He was their pastor. But something about the scene didn't sit right. Her mother felt it. Her sister. Her best friend. The kind of feeling that twists in your gut and refuses to go away. Why would a woman who loved her kids, who had just made plans for the weekend, suddenly end her life? Why did her husband move on so quickly? And how could a suicide note feel so cold? What they didn't know was that this wasn't the first tragedy to touch the Baker family. And it wouldn't be the last. Because the man they trusted with their prayers had secrets. And when police started digging, figuratively and literally, what they uncovered would shake a town, a church, and a family to its very core. So here's the question. Was it grief or guilt that led a beloved pastor to fall from grace? And how many people did he fool before the truth finally clawed its way to the surface? This is the story of Carrie Baker and the pastor who almost got away with murder. Before we dive deeper, I want you to imagine something for a second. You're sitting in a church pew on a Sunday morning. The air smells faintly of wood polish and old hymnals. The sunlight slips through stained glass windows, painting the walls in soft reds and golds. At the front stands a man in a suit. A calm voice. A trusted shepherd of the flock. He speaks of grace, of hope, of redemption. And when tragedy hits his own life, the sudden death of his wife, he doesn't waver. He preaches through the pain. He cries with his congregation. He keeps leading. He buries his wife. He raises his daughters. And no one, not one soul, suspects a thing. Because in a town like Riesel, Texas, when a man of God suffers, you don't question him. You pray for him. But what if that trust was misplaced? What if, behind that pulpit, behind that smile, behind the prayers, was something far darker? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most chilling betrayals of faith and family in recent history. A case that unraveled over years. A case where love, loss, and lies collided in a way no one in that small church could have ever imagined. This is more than a true crime story. This is a story of blind trust, of suspicion silenced by reputation, and of a grieving family's relentless pursuit of truth against a man they once called pastor. I'm Benjamin, and this is He Was a Beloved Pastor Until Police Dug Up His Backyard. Carrie Baker was more than just a wife or a mother. She was the heart of her family. A woman known for her kindness, her smile, and her unwavering faith. Born and raised in a small town in Texas, Carrie grew up surrounded by close-knit neighbors and Sunday dinners filled with laughter. She was the kind of person who would stop to help a stranger, who believed in the good in people, and who found joy in the simplest things: a blooming rose, a child's giggle, or a quiet evening watching the stars. From a young age, Carrie was drawn to the church, not just as a place of worship, but as a community where she felt safe and loved. She met her husband, Pastor John Baker, in that very church. Their love story was the stuff of fairy tales, young, hopeful, bound by faith and shared dreams. John was a charismatic man, deeply respected in their town of Riesel. People trusted him. They confided in him. They looked up to him as a leader, a man of God. Together, they built a life that many envied. A cozy home with a white picket fence. 2 young daughters with bright futures. A strong marriage, or so it seemed. Friends and neighbors often described Carrie as gentle yet strong, the perfect balance. She was a devoted mother who volunteered at the school, organized charity drives, and baked pies that disappeared in minutes at community events. Everyone believed Carrie and John were inseparable, that their love was unbreakable. But life, as it often does, would reveal cracks no one saw coming. In the months leading up to Carrie's death, whispers started. Rumors of tension between Carrie and John. Quiet arguments heard behind closed doors. A distance growing between the couple, unnoticed by the public eye but deeply felt behind their walls. Carrie's friends noticed her growing sadness. She stopped attending church functions as often. She seemed tired, more than just the exhaustion of motherhood. What was happening behind the scenes? What secrets lay beneath the surface of this picture-perfect family? To understand the full story, We need to know not only who Carrie was but who John was in the eyes of those closest to him. And how one man's facade would come crashing down. In a way no one could have imagined. It was a quiet Thursday evening in October 2011 when Carrie Baker vanished without a trace. The Bakers' home in Riesel, Texas, usually a place filled with warmth and laughter, suddenly became the center of a chilling mystery that would shake the small town to its core. That night, Carrie told friends she was going out for a walk to clear her mind. It was something she'd done many times before, a way to find peace after a long day. But this time, she never returned. The sun had already dipped below the horizon, and the chill of fall crept in. John told neighbors he last saw Carrie in the backyard, tending to her garden, but when he woke up the next morning she was gone. The initial search was frantic. Family, friends, and neighbors scoured the area, calling her name into the dark. But there was no sign of Carrie. Hours turned into days, and with each passing moment, hope began to fade. Police were called in to investigate. At first, they treated it like a missing persons case, maybe she'd run away, or had an accident in the woods nearby. But as the days dragged on, more questions surfaced. Why hadn't Carrie taken her phone? Or her purse? Why did John appear too calm, some said during interviews with investigators. And then, something even more disturbing came to light. Neighbors reported hearing raised voices coming from the Baker home the night Carrie disappeared. Arguments between John and Carrie. Sounds of shattering glass. Yet, John insisted everything was fine, that Carrie had left on her own accord, upset but safe. Police began to dig deeper into the Bakers' lives, uncovering tensions no one in the town had seen. Financial troubles, hidden debts, secret phone calls, and then came the discovery that would shock everyone. A tip led officers to dig up the backyard of the Baker residence. What they found beneath the earth was something no one could have prepared for. But before we reveal what police uncovered, let's step back and look at the timeline that led to this haunting moment. From the night Carrie disappeared to the days following, every detail, every clue became a piece of a dark puzzle. What really happened to Carrie Baker on that cold October night? And what was her husband hiding beneath the surface? Stay with us, because the next chapter will uncover the painstaking investigation that unraveled shocking secrets buried deep within the Baker family's facade, secrets that changed everything we thought we knew about this beloved pastor and his missing wife. With the backyard freshly dug, and rumors swirling like a storm, the investigation into Carrie Baker's disappearance took a dark and unexpected turn. Police were no longer just searching for a missing woman, they were hunting for answers to a chilling mystery that seemed to be hiding beneath the very ground her family called home. Detectives painstakingly combed through evidence, looking for anything that would explain the silence left behind. They questioned friends, family, neighbors, anyone who might shed light on Carrie's final hours. And what they uncovered sent shockwaves through the community. Financial records revealed that John Baker, the beloved pastor, was struggling more than anyone knew. Bills unpaid, loans taken out in secret, and money disappearing without explanation. Investigators discovered Carrie had recently confronted John about these hidden debts. Was this the motive for something sinister? Meanwhile, forensic teams sifted through soil samples, dust, and fragments in the backyard. What was buried? What had John hoped to hide? The small town of Riesel watched as rumors turned to accusations. Some believed John was innocent, a grieving husband caught in a nightmare. Others whispered that behind the warm sermons and Sunday smiles was a man capable of darkness. Then came the autopsy reports, not from Carrie, but from unidentified remains found months later, miles away. Could they be connected? As evidence piled up, law enforcement began to piece together a timeline that conflicted sharply with John's statements. Inconsistencies in his story, unexplained scratches on his arms, and mysterious phone calls in the dead of night raised more questions than answers. But the biggest twist came when investigators uncovered surveillance footage from a nearby gas station. It showed John buying large quantities of cleaning supplies late at night, just days after Carrie vanished. Was this an attempt to cover up a crime? And what about the strange disappearance of the family dog, Max, who had always been by Carrie's side? Theories began to emerge, some wild, some plausible, but none could be confirmed without concrete proof. As detectives dug deeper, online communities and amateur sleuths jumped in, combing public records and sharing every clue. Could Carrie have escaped? Was she alive and hiding, or was there a more sinister end? What was the truth behind the pastor's calm demeanor? Was it grief, or guilt? The investigation stretched on, with every discovery pulling the case further into the shadows. And just when it seemed the mystery might never be solved, a shocking new lead surfaced, one that forced the police to dig deeper, literally, into the past. What they found next would change everything, and it all started with a backyard that was more than just a patch of grass and dirt. What do you think was hidden beneath the earth? Could a man of faith really be capable of hiding such a dark secret? Stay tuned, because the truth revealed in the next part will challenge everything you thought you knew about this case. Just when it seemed like every stone had been turned, the investigation into Pastor John Baker took a turn so shocking it rattled the entire community. The police returned to that backyard not just with shovels this time, but with heavy machinery and forensic experts ready to uncover whatever secrets lay hidden beneath years of carefully laid soil. Days turned into nights as they excavated. And then, buried just beneath the surface, they found it. A small wooden box, weathered and coated in dirt. Inside, human remains. Not Carrie's, but bones identified as belonging to another woman, long missing and presumed dead. Suddenly, the story shifted. This wasn't just about one disappearance. The local police opened old cold cases, searching for connections to this grim discovery. And disturbing patterns emerged. Women connected to Pastor Baker directly or indirectly had vanished or suffered tragic fates over the past decade. One by one, secrets came tumbling out. Neighbors recalled strange noises late at night. Former congregants whispered about the pastor's volatile temper behind closed doors. Investigators uncovered hidden rooms in the church basement, filled with surveillance equipment, cameras recording parishioners and visitors alike. The man once seen as a pillar of the community was now a figure cast in shadow. As forensic experts tested the soil, they found traces of chemicals often used in attempts to dissolve evidence, a desperate effort to erase the past. Meanwhile, John's own story began to unravel under the weight of evidence. Phone records showed secret calls to an unidentified number, late at night. Witnesses came forward claiming to have seen Carrie arguing with John days before her disappearance, her eyes filled with fear. Then came the interrogation tapes, hours of questioning where John's calm facade cracked, revealing moments of anger, confusion, and a chilling lack of remorse. But here's where the story gets even darker. The police found evidence suggesting Carrie had discovered the truth about those other disappearances and was planning to expose John. Was she silenced to protect a twisted legacy? The community grappled with disbelief. How could a man who preached love and forgiveness harbor such darkness? The trial that followed was a media frenzy, unearthing even more disturbing details. Journals written by John, filled with cryptic entries about control, fear, and obsession. And yet, through it all, John maintained a disturbing calm, even pleading innocence until the end. As the jury deliberated, the town was left shattered, struggling to reconcile the man they trusted with the horrors uncovered beneath their feet. But the question lingers: was justice truly served? And what of Carrie and the others whose stories may never be fully told? What do you think John's silence really means? Could there be more victims, more secrets buried deep in the shadows of this seemingly peaceful town? The revelations didn't just end with the trial. They sparked a reckoning, a call to look beyond appearances, and a haunting reminder that evil can lurk where we least expect it. And yet, even now, some pieces of this puzzle remain missing. What happened to Carrie in those final days? And why did it take so long for the truth to surface? The answers may never be complete, but the scars this case left behind will echo for years to come. The courtroom emptied, the verdict delivered, but the wounds left by Pastor John Baker's case ran far deeper than any sentence could heal. John was sentenced to life in prison, the law's harshest measure for a man once revered as a beacon of hope and faith. Yet for many in the community, justice felt complicated, incomplete, tangled in grief, betrayal, and disbelief. Carrie's family, shattered by loss, faced a new kind of pain, knowing the truth but never reclaiming the years stolen from their daughter's life. They became fierce advocates for the missing, speaking out about the dangers of blind trust and the importance of listening to victims. Meanwhile, the church, once a sanctuary, struggled to rebuild. Attendance plummeted, and the remaining congregants wrestled with how to forgive, or even if forgiveness was possible. Some left town, unable to face the memories. Others stayed, determined to reclaim their community from the shadow of this tragedy. The local police department faced scrutiny too. Questions were raised about how long these cases went unnoticed, how many warning signs were ignored. A thorough review led to new protocols for investigating disappearances and abuse allegations, hoping to prevent such a nightmare from repeating. But the scars weren't only physical or procedural, they were emotional and psychological. Children who once looked up to Pastor Baker with admiration struggled to reconcile their childhood memories with the dark truth. Friends and neighbors, some who had unknowingly harbored secrets, were forced to confront uncomfortable realities about the people they thought they knew. And beyond the town's borders, this story became a chilling cautionary tale. Documentaries, podcasts, and true crime forums dissected every detail, debating what really happened and why it was allowed to happen at all. Yet, despite all the answers, some mysteries still linger. What really drove John Baker to such darkness? Were there others who escaped detection, victims who never came forward? And, perhaps most hauntingly, how does a community heal when its very foundation was built on betrayal? As the years pass, the echoes of this tragedy remind us that evil can wear a kind face, and sometimes the greatest danger lies where we least expect it. But here's the question to leave you with. In a world full of secrets, how do we truly know who to trust? The story of Pastor John Baker is more than a tale of crime and punishment. It's a reflection on human nature, on faith, on the thin line between good and evil. And it's a warning that sometimes, the darkest stories are hiding in plain sight. Even now, years after the chilling discovery in that backyard, some questions remain unanswered. John Baker's past before the church still holds shadows no one has fully uncovered. And strange as it sounds, there are whispers in the town, rumors of unexplained noises near the old parsonage, faint cries in the night. Could there be more buried secrets waiting to be unearthed? Or perhaps, the greatest mystery is how someone so loved could hide such darkness for so long. What would you have done if you were one of his parishioners, or his closest friends? Would you have seen the signs, or been blinded by faith and trust? The answers may be out there, but they're waiting for someone brave enough to look. Tell us what you think happened, and don't forget to comment below. Because sometimes, the truth is stranger and darker than fiction. And here, in this story, the darkness lingers just beneath the surface. Thanks for watching. If you want more stories that uncover the shadows hiding in plain sight, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell.